Hello YouTubers. So this is going to be more of a how-to video. It's not about motorcycles, which is what I've been posting lately. It's how to ship a snowboard. Right there's a shoebox size box, and it's called a shoebox because of the way it's shaped. I have everything in 2x speed right here. That shoebox is about 13 inches wide, so that'll fit probably 95% of the snowboards out there. The one I'm shipping right now is 11 3/4 inch, so that's about your max. Right here is the US Postal Service requirements for using flat rate boxes. So you are allowed to use a flat rate box. So if you want to walk in the post office and give it a shot, the people behind the counter may give you a hard time though. But I use the shoebox. You can order those for free off of USPS.com. This is the shoebox here. Like I said, it'll handle 11 3/4 inch board, which is this one here, barely. You need something bigger, a 1097 box. These are not flat rate boxes. So when you bring them in to the counter, they shouldn't give you a hard time. But if they do, I showed you in the beginning of the video, there's a US postal code that says that you can use flat rates. They're just going to charge you by weight. So the flat rate boxes are a little wider too, so they may charge you a little more by dimension. So anyway, this was inspired by a video from Micah Gaudio. So if you do a search for how to ship a snowboard, he'll be the first one to pop up. It's like a 30-second video, 37-second video if you want to get the down and dirty version of this. So I saw his video, and that was the only video I could find at the time. This is like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. His video shows that it's 6 years old. It's probably a little older, closer to 7. And there's some other videos out there now, so maybe there's somebody who has a better way of doing it. But I've shipped probably 70 boards doing it this way. So basically, I'm reinforcing what Micah did in his video. So if you want to see the nitty-gritty details on how to get it reinforced, so it's a little stronger in shipping. And what I do is I cut the corners off so that they basically puzzle themselves together much easier. You can slip them together and get a little bit of a compression on that. And makes for a nice tighter fit. You can also adjust it, tapping on each side so you can get them better lined up so it's more straight. So between 4 and 5 boxes, and you can see here this last box, it's not long enough to finish, but that's okay. We'll make it work. So when I cut those corners off, I'm leaving about a 1/2 inch of the regular box part, or I'm cutting away about a 1/2 inch. So make it even on both sides when you cut. That make it easier to fit together. So this is the second to the last box. And you see I'm noticing that where I cut the box, and I want to cover that cut completely. It makes it stronger that way. If they're coming apart, you don't have a stronger bond there. You see it is a little crooked right now, but I'll fix that later. The reason you don't want it to be crooked is because I believe they use a laser to measure these with a computer. You don't want to get overcharged for how big it is. So here's the last box on the board, and I cut it so that I have a 1/2 inch over the edge. So I laid it on top and just took a pen and marked it and cut it. And I don't need to worry about cutting the corners on the last piece on the end. And here I'm lining everything up, trying to line it up. There's a lot of minor adjustments here. And on each end, like I said, I'm leaving about a 1/2 inch overlap on the edge. And I'm going to be adding a piece of cardboard to the tip of the board. So as long as you're not too much over a 1/2 inch, that piece of cardboard shouldn't move. I don't typically tape it to the board. I guess you could, but for my business practices, I don't like to tape the product. Having customers trying to remove that. It's up to you. Yeah, and I'm making lots of adjustments. Once you start taping everything, it's hard to go back and make those adjustments. I want it as straight as possible, all the boxes lined up. I do want to keep the boxes, the graphics on them kind of lined up just to make it look better. When you bring it in the post office, they do want to see if you're taping boxes together, they're going to want to see that it's going to hold. So I think the neater and more professional you tape everything and line it all up, it'll pass that person at, the person at the counter, I believe, can reject anything. So, like I said, you can use mediums, or flat rate boxes, a medium box or something. The post office does not stock these in their stores. They only stock the flat rates, but they are wider, and they may give you a hard time, because they are flat rates. But in the beginning of the video, I showed you their postal code that says that it's okay. So just Google search that, print it out. Google search the title of the paragraph and print it out or something, or screenshot that and bring it in the post office if they give you a hard time. They're just going to charge you by weight and dimension. So I've got my little piece of cardboard in there, and then I'm pinching down the edges to get everything started with 3 pieces of tape. And then I get to business with this. So I'm doing half the tape covering. This is 1-inch tape covering, half of one side and folding it over to the other half. And I want to cover all the holes, so I'm going to go another 360 around the tape that I just did, and then I'm going to do a second piece of tape to get the whole flap. So there'll be another piece of tape on the end of that one, right there. Sorry, I didn't get a good point of view on this, on everything, but there it is. There's I believe there's the one piece of tape I folded over, and then 2 other pieces. So this is the other side. Again, I'm putting a piece of cardboard in there. As long as you get the tip. I didn't use this cardboard for quite a few snowboards I shipped, so it's not like mandatory, but I believe it gives a little extra reinforcement in case the tip gets, somebody starts standing it on the tip. Looks better when the customer gets it. Looks better, more professional. Again, I'm putting one piece of tape after I got started with a couple others to pinch it. And then I'm going to put 2 more in a 360 fashion around the whole end of it. And then I'm going to come in, and you notice I put a piece of tape on these to begin with when I started moving the boxes. That's to keep them from moving. And now I'm going to come in and do a 360 around it. At the seam, I'm going to do a 360 around each side of the tape. So basically three pieces of tape around in a 360 fashion on each of these seams. I want to cover that flap completely so it doesn't catch on anything. So it requires basically 3 pieces of tape, 1-inch tape. There's the little piece I had to hold everything together when I was doing the ends. So again, I'm going down the seam first, right down the middle, pushing everything together so there's no bubbles, so it doesn't bow. And then I go in ahead and do 2 more pieces, 1 on each end of that tape. Sometimes I do an extra one on the flap part in case I don't cover the whole flap. Everything looks good. You can leave it like this, but I like to reinforce it with fiber reinforced packing tape. It doesn't have to be the wide stuff or expensive stuff. This is 3/8 If you go to a hardware store like Home Depot, they may have only 1/2 inch. It's kind of expensive, but I like it. Peace of mind. Post office likes to see that. You're going to have to bring this up to the counter. Won't fit in the box, so they're going to look at it. Now here I'm taking a pair of scissors and I'm cutting a little flap in the end just to get up closer to that piece of cardboard that's on the tip. So in case you've got too much extra cardboard on the end, that's kind of one way I do it to keep that piece of cardboard from moving around. So here I'm going down the middle with one strip of the fiber tape. There's a little flap on this end. I'm going down into it. And again, that's to keep that cardboard piece from moving around on the inside. You don't have to. If you've only got a 1/2 inch sticking out, you're probably okay. And if you're just shipping one board, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Since I do a lot of shipping for different products, I really try to err on the side of caution. Now here I'm going to go down each seam. I go right down the middle of the flap. Each one is going to get a piece of fiber tape. I've never had an issue with having a product damaged, so this could be a little overkill. But again, it gives me peace of mind. Customer gets this. Like I said, probably the first 5 or 6 boards I shipped, I didn't add this fiber tape. I've shipped about 70 of them, I'd say. I have a lot of different products that I sell, so these are used snowboards, not really profitable. So now I'm going to come in down the middle. Again, I want to cover that reinforced tape. Sometimes it gets a little loose. The stickiness kind of wears off. Plus, again, it's extra reinforcement. So I do a 360 around the hole. And I'm also covering those little flaps I cut on the ends of the boards so that doesn't catch on anything. That's basically it. I hope this helps out. And I put the label right there where my hand is, where it says label, on the inside curve. And good luck. Hope it helps. Take it easy. Bye-bye.